Hi VC, Dave back with you again. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, so just a quick update. It's been a while since the last one, just to show you what I've been picking up of late. This guy's a bit of a reluctant camera star, so I think I'll leave him off there. He's been kind of protesting. Up he goes. So yeah, some vinyl, mostly CDs, but I'll start off with some stuff I picked up at a record fair recently. Yeah, record fair that comes around here in town about once every 5 times a year maybe. This time was very disappointing. It was very small pool of sellers, very little. Yeah, but sellers who were there, most of them were kind of other sellers I generally avoid because they're rip-off artists. Now, the seller who I did buy from, he's a guy who I buy from quite a lot, but he didn't have a whole lot that I found interesting. But I did pick up a long time Prince Sign of the Times. Yeah, I've been one of those albums I've been meaning to pick up on vinyl for a long time, but kind of put it off because you do tend to kind of focus on kind of rarer stuff. You see it around all the time, but it was fairly reasonably well. It was priced for kind of just about what I'd be prepared to pay for it, really. So yeah, so this is the only vinyl item I picked up at the fair. I don't think it needs any introduction. It's personally my favourite Prince album. I mean, the title track alone is just a classic. Yeah, so what can you say? And it's a double album, as you know. Yeah, definitely my personal favourite from him. From the same seller, I just picked up 2 CDs as well. So yeah, the Jesus and Mary Chain, Darklands, also from '87, and Sonic Youth album, cool experimental jet set trash, and No Star. So that's all I picked up at the fair. I met Ben Costello a couple of weeks ago. Ben, as always, as generous as ever, gave me some VCLT. Give me the 7-inch single by a guy called Andreas Wollweder, who is, I believe he's Austrian, this guy. Is he Austrian or Swiss? I'm not 100% sure. I had something by this fella before. I had a compilation CD. It was kind of, I suppose you could call it, it's electronic music, but kind of very much veering on kind of new age. This is a decent enough. Yeah, this is Electric Harp. He is a harpist, and he does kind of it is kind of his trademark, the electric harp. Andreas Wollweder, Flight Feet and Root Hands. This came out in 1984 on CBS. Ben also gave me some CDs. I actually have this one already, but thanks anyway, Ben. The Pixies, Surfer Rosa and Come On Pilgrim. Kind of both of their debut album and their debut EP on the one CD. This is one that I actually have on 12-inch. Emperors of Ice Cream, a band from here in Cork, shoegaze band. This is called Overflow. This is an EP which they released in 1993. Very much an overlooked band, I think. Susie and the Banshee. This is one I picked up on cassette recently, but it's nice to have it on now on CD as well. Susie and the Banshees, Superstition from 1991, latter period. And this is Oh yeah, this is from one half of New Order. The other two. This is the other two and you. This is Stephen Morris and Gillian Gilbert of New Order. It's a kind of side project. This is from 1993. This is quite poppy, kind of quite quite like what kind of New Order kind of now that kind of period, a New Order. But yeah, pretty much like that. Yeah. So thanks, Ben. I made a couple of interesting charity shop finds. Actually, these are two pickups which I made yesterday. It's not often I pick up vinyl. I find that vinyl is really drying up in charity shops recently. But I picked up these two. They were €3 each. There was a lot of other stuff there which I left behind. I thought they were kind of okay, but these two are definitely Edwin Starr, 25 Miles. This is an album which originally I think came out in '68, and this is a 1969 UK edition on Tamala Motown. This is actually mono, a mono edition. As the inner sleeve and all, and it's an absolutely spanking, pristine condition. Yeah, so this is very much kind of soul. I'm not familiar with any of the songs on this prior to this, but this is kind of good, kind of up-tempo, kind of Motown soul, for the late '60s. Yeah, very nice pickup for that price, €3. Really, really kind of find it crazy hard to come across, decent vinyl these days, and charity stroke thrift shops. So that was a nice surprise. And also, along with that, I also picked up this Deep Purple Burn from 1974. I have to admit, I'm not the biggest Deep Purple fan. I haven't listened to this, and this album is kind of funky. It's kind of funkier than I kind of expected it to be. There is quite a bit of a funky vibe running through a lot of the tracks on this, and this is, I think, is one that I think certainly will grow on me as I play it more. But yeah, a very nice pickup for that price. So that's the vinyl. I've made loads of amazing CD pickups recently. Now these two are ex-library copies, which I actually grabbed at a local library. From time to time they put out CDs that they're getting rid of. Charles Lloyd, Billy Higgins, John Abercrombie and Dave Holland. This is on ECM, and on ECM, of course, always worth grabbing. Not in the best of condition, but it plays perfectly. Yeah, this is called Voice in the Night, and this is from 1999. Along with that, John McLaughlin, Extrapolation. Yeah, so definitely, 1969, 60s, 70s, John McLaughlin, always worth grabbing. Again, this is not in the best of condition, but it plays perfectly. There's no skips or anything, so well worth 20 cents. Now these are all CDs which I picked up for €1. These are all part of the same haul. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Missiles from Allah, well-known singer, traditional singer from Pakistan. So I've got the Sufi, I believe he's part of that Sufi vocal tradition. This is on a Portuguese label, which I've never seen before. It's some kind of budget label, I think. This is a really interesting find. This is a compilation called Orangutan. And when I saw the list of groups on this, included is Nurse with Wound, Stephen Stapleton, a lot of experimental kind of bands on here, a lot of whom are have kind of associations with Stephen Stapleton and Nurse with Wound, or have collaborated with him. This is on an Irish label called Gopa, and most of these acts are Irish as well. Jimmy Cake, Irish experimental kind of post-rock band. Daniel Figgis, he used to be a member of the Virgin Prunes. Also, after Virgin Prunes, he was in a group called Princess Tiny Meat. The Taiho Brahe. Yeah, a lot of these groups are they would have kind of fluid memberships. They'd kind of, collaborate with each other. So most of these acts would have at some point have kind of collaborated and done stuff together. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that pickup. Yeah, here's a group I've never come across in a charity shop before. Ozric Tentacles. Ozric Tentacles. British kind of space rock group. Kind of like a kind of latter day Hawkwind, kind of difficult to kind of categorize them really. This is called Waterfall Cities, and this is from 1999. Very prolific bands. They've been around since I think the early 80s. They've released just loads and loads of stuff. Hard enough to find them in the wild as well. So pretty pleased with that. Oh, and this is something I have on vinyl already, but I wasn't going to leave this behind. 2001: A Space Odyssey. The soundtrack to the Stanley Kubrick movie. This is a release from the 90s, which has some extra tracks on it as well. So it's digitally remastered, and sounds great as well. A particular version, and this is this is some music from Mali. Is this from Mali? Tama, and this is on Peter Gabriel's Real World label. So been finding quite a lot of them in the wild lately. So very much a lot of anytime I find any just kind of African music, particularly from Mali, I always usually grab it. Okay, I found a lot of cassettes lately, but I'll just show you the one. Stevie Wonder, Inner Vision, an album that needs no introduction. Very nice to pick up this original, I think I presume this is an original edition from '73 when this album came out. Again on Tamala Motown. So that's it. That's some of the most interesting of the stuff that I've picked up. I mean, CD wise, I picked up loads more CDs and cassettes, but I thought I'd just give you a little taster there. Plus the vinyl, which is kind of drying up. It is getting harder and harder to pick up decent vinyl in thrift shops, but still CDs and cassettes. There's a lot of good stuff out there if you look hard enough. Okay, I'll leave you leave it at that. Cat is having a bit of a snooze there. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.